Which of the following is not true? A. Human-raised macaques cannot integrate into troops. B. Birdwatching can boost cognitive function. Or C. Former house cats are being used in deadly cat research in the United States. Keep listening to Formosa Fauna to find out which. Spend the next 20 minutes feeding your brain with Formosa Fauna so you can become smarter than all of your friends. Every Friday is Formosa Fauna Friday. Hello, I'm Tristan Hildebrand, the voice of Formosa Fauna. I love animals and I love talking about them. If you're even remotely curious about the animal kingdom, you are in the right place. Today we're going to talk about the monkey named Punch, Taiwan's orphaned monkey, who is not Punch, the University of Missouri using federal funding to experiment on dozens of cats, the British government's official chief mouser, and 9 wild horses that were shot and killed in Arizona. Let's dive right in. Sabah Hamidi with NBC News shared the heartbreaking tale of a lonely baby monkey that moved into a Japanese zoo named Punch. The Japanese macaque was born in July 2025 and was rescued after being abandoned. Ichikawa Zoo actually shared a photo to social media, and that just took off. It blew up. That photo shows Punch carrying an orange orangutan plushie larger than him around, and the caption reads, "Punch's only friend." Hamidi wrote that his popularity online didn't translate to his real-life relationships, as videos circulating online showed other monkeys shoving Punch and attacking him, leaving him only his emotional support toy as his only friend. He really loves that plushie, though, which he clutches around the zoo and cuddles with while he sleeps. One video showed Punch getting attacked by an older monkey in his troop, triggering a strong response online and prompting the zoo to issue a statement on Twitter explaining that Punch was trying to communicate with the monkey and that monkey's mother was the one to attack him, thinking that her child was upset by Punch, and then she drug him away. Despite the rocky start, the zoo says Punch is gradually deepening interactions with the troop of monkeys, at times getting groomed, playfully poking at others, getting scolded, and steadily learning how to live as a monkey within the troop, sort of reintegrating into society. The zookeepers emphasized that no single monkey has shown serious aggression toward Punch, and they asked that the public support Punch's efforts rather than feel sorry for him. Punch has gained an impressive following of supporters who root for him with the hashtag Ganbare Punch, which is like, hang in there, Punch. He even attracted the support of IKEA. If you've been to IKEA within the past couple years, you'll probably remember the orange orangutan plushies that they have being sold inside. That's actually where Punch's plushie came from. So the IKEA, which makes the plushie, donated multiple replacements of that toy, as well as other new plushies like pandas, giraffes, owls, and turtles to him specifically. In fact, Punch is so popular that you have to, I think it's a lottery drawing each day to see who can be selected to go in and see Punch. And then you still have to line up. And I saw a video online of a girl who had lined up and she was first in line. And then once the doors to the zoo open, like they line up before the zoo opens, like it's Disneyland. And then once the doors open, people like sprint towards Punch, like the area. So very, very popular and across Japanese and honestly worldwide society, but now also slowly gaining his footing in his troop. Taiwan has its own orphaned baby monkey, which was rescued in southern Taiwan and has many people drawing the comparison to Punch. In a Taiwan news article written by Sean Scanlon, Shoshan Zoo recently said it took in the infant male macaque after a resident found him in Meinong district without a parent in sight. They believe he's less than 1 month old, very little. The zoo believes he may have been abandoned or separated from his mother and decided to take him in because, despite being uninjured, they questioned his ability to survive alone in the wild at such a young age. Again, they believe he's less than 1 month old. The Formosan macaque was reported to authorities, after which Kaohsiung's Animal Protection Office transferred him to Shoshan Zoo. The zookeepers also provided him with toys and blankets for comfort, noting that primates separated from their mothers often require additional emotional support, like the plushies. So he, much like Punch, has been seen hugging the items. The zoo said it plans to raise the macaque until it is about 1 year old, after which staff will evaluate a suitable site for release back into the wild. Officials noted that the shelter where the baby macaque is being housed at is designated for injured or rescued animals, so unfortunately the public is not able to go in and see him. Visitors may never get to, unless they encounter him in the wild, where hopefully he'll be able to be reintegrated. A new investigation is raising serious questions about animal research at the University of Missouri, specifically experiments involving cats, including some that may have once been family pets. The watchdog group White Coat Waste Project says it obtained state and federal records showing that the university currently receives funding from the U.S. National Institutes of Health to conduct experiments on dozens of cats. According to the documents, about 91 cats are involved in a project worth more than $500,000 in federal funding that runs through April 2026. The investigation alleges that some of the research involves deliberately causing spinal cord injuries in the animals, followed by invasive procedures such as skull surgeries, mechanical ventilation, and repeated stimulation intended to measure neurological responses. Among the report's controversial claims is the origin of some of the cats. Records suggest that the university maintained a colony of cats used as blood donors, including at least 15 animals obtained from a local public shelter in Jefferson City, Missouri. Because those cats had microchips, investigators say they were once owned pets. They were once pets that belonged to somebody that were either lost or surrendered before ending up at the shelter. The donor cats reportedly had blood drawn repeatedly for research purposes. The watchdog group says that after spending up to 2 years in the laboratory, the animals could be euthanized if deemed medically necessary, rather than being adopted out. Missouri law does not prohibit shelters from transferring animals to research facilities, a practice sometimes called pound seizure. Documents reviewed by the group also describe a separate, federally funded study in which dozens of cats were bred to develop polycystic kidney disease, a genetic condition that gradually destroys kidney function. The kittens were placed on experimental diets and underwent repeated scans and sample collections before many were euthanized at the end of the study. The revelations came amid a broader debate over the use of animals in scientific research. In recent years, federal agencies and lawmakers have pushed to reduce or replace animal testing where possible, although millions of animals are still used in laboratories each year. Animal welfare advocates say the investigation shows taxpayer-funded research on pets is continuing despite promises to phase out such experiments. These are also very unpopular experiments, so it's almost, I don't want to say it technically, but it's almost sort of done under the table. They don't publicly, it's not like the politicians each election cycle come around saying, this is where $500,000 are going to give these animals diseases and injuries and then euthanize them at the end. Oh my goodness. Peter Singer, the author of Animal Liberation Now, has said that the United States has some of the worst animal testing regulations in the world. For many people, birdwatching is a quiet pastime, something you might do on a walk through a park or while sitting in your backyard. But scientists say the hobby may also offer surprising benefits for the brain. A new study suggests that people who regularly watch and identify birds may develop stronger cognitive skills, particularly in areas related to attention, perception, and memory. Researchers say the mental challenge of spotting birds, recognizing species, and remembering details may actually help keep the brain sharp. In the study, scientists compared experienced birdwatchers with beginners while they performed bird identification tasks. Using brain imaging, the researchers found that expert birders showed the differences in structure of brain regions linked to visual processing and attention. These areas appeared to work more efficiently, suggesting that years of birdwatching may help train the brain to process information more effectively. Researchers say birding is an interesting activity to study because it combines several cognitive skills at once. Birdwatchers have to scan their surroundings, distinguish subtle visual features, remember what different species look or sound like, and often make quick decisions about what they're seeing. All of that together creates what scientists describe as complex cognitive exercise. And the benefits may go beyond just brain training. Previous studies have found that spending time observing birds can improve mood and mental well-being, reduce stress, and encourage mindfulness, especially because the activity often takes place outdoors in nature. Scientists say the findings highlight how hobbies that combine learning, observation, and time in nature could help support healthy aging. In other words, the simple act of watching birds, something people have enjoyed for centuries, might also quietly be helping our brains stay active. So the next time you notice a sparrow on a fence or hear birds calling in the trees, researchers say it might be doing more than brightening your day. It could also be giving your brain a small but meaningful workout. At 10 Downing Street in London, political careers can rise and fall very quickly. But one resident has managed to outlast them all. And that resident is a cat. This cat is named Larry. Larry, the British government's official chief mouser, recently marked 15 years living at the Prime Minister's residence. During that time, he has served under 6 different British prime ministers, making him one of the most consistent figures in the country's political landscape. The grey and white tabby first arrived at Downing Street in February 2011, after being adopted from London's Battersea Dogs and Cats home during the government of Prime Minister David Cameron. At the time, officials were dealing with a noticeable rodent problem in the historic building and hoped a cat might help keep the mice in check. Larry's job title, Chief Mouser to the Cabinet Office, comes with a surprisingly formal list of responsibilities. According to the British government, those duties include greeting visitors, inspecting security defenses, and, of course, keeping an eye out for mice. Since moving in, Larry has witnessed years of political change. He has lived through the premierships of David Cameron, Theresa May, Boris Johnson, Liz Truss, Rishi Sunak, and now Keir Starmer. Along the way, the now elderly cat has also become something of a celebrity. He's frequently photographed lounging outside the famous Black Door of Number 10, occasionally photobombing visiting world leaders or appearing in the background of television broadcasts. Despite debates about how effective he is at catching mice, Larry has become a beloved figure in British politics. He's sort of part mascot, part civil servant, because he does have important responsibilities. A whole whopping 3 of them. And at around 19 years old, he's still on the job, continuing to patrol the corridors of power, I guess, the government, one nap and maybe one mouse at a time. Doing the math, this means he's 19 years old, right? And he's been there for 15 years. So he's adopted when he was about 4 years old. I will say, if you're in the market to adopt a cat and you're considering it, please go for an adult cat. Please do it. It's the smartest thing you could do. And you will thank yourself because You know what's different about adult cats? Well, first of all, they already have their annoying... their personalities are generally already pretty solid. So some cats just don't scratch or bite people at all. But a lot of those cats, when they were kittens, did do that. So if you get a kitten and it does bite and scratch, you actually don't know if they're going to grow out of it or if that's going to be what you deal with for the next perhaps 20 plus years. So that's one thing. Also, a lot of people are just attracted to the cuteness of kittens. So they're like, but I want something that's really cute. Oh, I'll tell you what, cats go from newborn to not a kitten anymore in about 4 or 5 months. So, and this is a potentially about 20-year commitment. So if you're willing to risk personalities clashing in the household, all for 4 to 5 months of cuteness, and honestly, they're not going to adopt them out as a newborn either, right? So you're risking it for about 3 months of cuteness. And then what? They might not even be cute when they get older. They could get somewhat uglier. You might not like them as much. But if they're an adult cat, you already know what they look like. You already know their behavior. They're already mature. It's a wise decision. Authorities in the United States state of Arizona are investigating a disturbing case involving the deaths of several wild horses in a national forest. In late January, 9 horses were found shot to death in the Black Mesa Ranger District of the Apache-Sitgreaves National Forests, an area known as the Heber Wild Horse Territory. Officials with the United States Forest Service say all 9 animals had gunshot wounds, confirming they were deliberately killed. The discovery has prompted a criminal investigation. Authorities are now offering a reward of up to $5,000 for information leading to the arrest and conviction of whoever is responsible. Investigators are asking anyone with information to contact the Navajo County Sheriff's Office tip line. The horses belong to the herd that lives in the Heber Wild Horse Territory, a roughly 20,000-acre area set aside for wild horses within the national forest. The herd is a familiar sight for visitors and residents in eastern Arizona, and many people travel to the area specifically to see them. Animal advocates say the incident is part of a troubling pattern, as in recent years, wild horses in the same forest have been targets of violence, with dozens reportedly shot and killed in previous incidents. And the investigation may be expanding. In early March, officials announced that 4 more horses were found dead in the same forest area, also with bullet wounds. That discovery raised the total number of horses killed in recent weeks to at least 13. Wild horses in the region are part of a long-running debate in the American West. Some people see them as iconic symbols of the landscape and an important part of local tourism, while others argue that they compete with wildlife and livestock for food and water. For now, investigators are focused on identifying whoever carried out the shootings, hoping that someone with information will come forward and help solve the case that has honestly shocked many. The Scientist of the Week. The Scientist of the Week is Aristotle. Aristotle is a name known far and wide. Most know Aristotle in terms of philosophy, but he made notable contributions to several other fields as well, including zoology and physics. In his books, Aristotle described the morphology and behavior of various cephalopods, catfish, frogfish, and other sea creatures. He also studied ruminants and explained their hearts. Aristotle had an idea about evolution, but believed it resulted from accidents. Charles Darwin shared similar views and would later go on to develop the theory of evolution. Making it to the end of an episode makes you a Formosa Fauna friend. Thank you for tuning in, friend. See you next time for Formosa Fauna Fridays here on Radio Taiwan International.